Hi there, and welcome to the Adventures with Jesus Today podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Berg, and today we're going to be talking about giving and receiving gifts. I was talking to a potential client this morning and said something from the wisdom of God that just blew our minds. The specific thing that God created me for is to help each one of us understand what we were created for, how we're made up, what are the specific things that God put in each one of us, and then how we get to walk that out. And the beauty of what we do in the superhero community that we've started, and you can find out about that by emailing lvdb@thewaysofwisdom.com, is understanding that there really are three pillars to finding out what your purpose is. And the first is inner healing. Understanding that what Jesus paid for on the cross, his blood covers it all. And we get to walk out of the old patterns and really concentrate on our new man. So as we are healed in our thinking, in our mindset, as we're transformed by the renewing of our minds, then teaching the truth sets us free. We're able to hear it, then we're able to look at it and go, that's how I want to live my life. And then the third pillar is coaching, actually walking this out into our future. And so the inner healing deals with the past and helps us to break old mindsets and patterns and beliefs. Teaching helps us to deal with the present, because then we're able to hear and accept the truth. And the coaching helps us to deal with the future, because then we get to put feet on this vision and actually know how to walk it out. And so as I was speaking to this person today, they were just talking about communication issues that they were having with their spouse. And the person I was speaking to loves systems, loves to be able to know that there's a certain amount of time to do this many tasks, and they absolutely love it. The systems help them feel safe, help them feel like they can get things accomplished, help them feel peaceful because they know that they have a certain amount of time to do things and that all the things that they desire to do can get done in that time. Whereas the other person in the relationship loves to be spontaneous, loves to be able to do things last minute, doesn't really follow a schedule, or begrudgingly when they do, but they love to be able to do things spontaneously. And so this has been causing some friction between the two of them, because the spontaneous one wants to do something in the middle of the schedule, and the scheduled one's going, no, I don't have time for spontaneity, right? And so this is often such a pattern of how we are in our lives. We'll see a gifting that's different to ours in somebody else, and it's especially pertinent when that person is in a relationship with us and we're doing life with them a lot, and or even as in a married couple, you've made a commitment to each other. And so these little things can be things that grow into big things as we become hurt by the other person, or react to them, or become have a grudge against them, or get offended. All of these things can grow. And so as they do, we begin to hold the gifting of the other person against them. We begin to say, I don't like your spontaneity because it makes me feel dishonored. Or the spontaneous person can say, I don't like your structure because it stops my creativity and stops me from being creative and spontaneous, right? And so when we do that, we begin to build up a case against the other one's gifting that, if we really stopped and thought about it, is the thing that God gave them. This is not a thing they decided to do. This is not just a whim and they're doing it to irritate you. This is the gifting that God gave them. And when we can stop and actually acknowledge that this thing that comes out of your guts, this thing that comes out of your bones, that you just do naturally, is actually the gift that God gave you. And we can hold that in its proper reverence, its proper place of awe, that this is what God put in them. It totally shifts our understanding of the fact that this is something we get to treasure, which is the second point. We get to see that this is actually a treasure. And if we're in a relationship, then we get to see this as a treasure instead of a curse, as a blessing instead of a curse. We get to see it as something that can contribute to our lives, that can bless our lives, that can help us where we are weak and help us to be strong and continue to walk it out. And so the third thing is the result of that is that we actually get to partner with each other's giftings that will either amplify our giftings or help us in the places where we just don't have those giftings. And so as I was just talking to the Lord about it, because I talk to the Lord at the same time as I talk to the person in front of me. And I was just talking to the Lord. I said, Lord, what do you have to say? And he said, tell them that they do not have to see this gifting as something that's opposite to them. They can actually get to look at it as something that benefits them. And I found myself saying, how can you lend your strength to your spouse instead of expecting them to have it? And the two of us literally just sat there and were amazed at the wisdom of heaven in this situation. Because so often when those things happen, when somebody has a thing that's opposite to us or a gifting that looks very different to ours, and it can be irritating to us, right, or be so opposite to us that we fight against it, that we're actually expecting the other person to have what we have, and they just don't have it. So in this case, person one had this gift of being able to put structure on things and systematize things. Person number two did not have that gift, right? So person number one had it, person number two did not have it. The gift that person number two had was spontaneity, and person number one does not have it. And so we get to see that instead of spontaneity and structure battling in the middle and being something that divides these two people, what if the one with the structure actually gets to lend their structure to the person that has spontaneity? And I said, what if it looked like actually sitting at the dinner table the night before and pulling out the family calendar and going, hey, what have we all got planned? What have we all got to put on the calendar tomorrow? And the person with the actual gift of structure could be the one that filled out the calendar, instead of getting angry at the others who do not have the gift of structure, trying to get them to employ the gift of structure in filling out the family calendar. Right? Isn't that amazing? That we often, this friction that happens between us is because we want the other person to do what we want them to do, but they just don't have the ability to do it. Totally different story if they're being otherwise or doing it on purpose. Totally different topic. But when we're talking about the giftings that God innately gave us, the other person does not have the gift of structure. And this person's eyes just opened wide and they said, oh my word, this changes everything. This could really help. Because then the one with the gift of structure gets to go to their spouse and go, hey, let's put the structure together quickly. I'm the one that has the gift to do this, but I need your input. And I love your input, right? So I'm lending you my gift of structure so that the family can run well. And then person number two, who has the gift of spontaneity, can come to person number one and go, hey, I would love to give you the gift of spontaneity because you can get so stuck in your structures sometimes. So how about on whatever, Thursday afternoons, we just leave a big space open in the calendar and I get to do something spontaneous and you get to come along with me and enjoy the ride. And it just becomes such a beautiful picture of the person that's spontaneous giving their gift to the other person who just doesn't have spontaneity. But they do get to enjoy spontaneity with person number two. And person number one, who doesn't really do well with structure and isn't good at systems, gets to actually have some structure in their life, which greatly benefits their lives because person number one lends their gift to them. It's just the most beautiful way of seeing the body of Christ working together. Because we can look at the elbow all day long and go, I cannot believe that you can't pick up that cup of coffee. Because we're expecting it to look like the hand. But it's the elbow. It doesn't have the joints. It doesn't have the fingers. It doesn't have the opposable thumb to be able to pick up a cup because it's an elbow. It would be like the hand going, hey, turn the arm a certain way, scoop up things, pick up things, interact with a bicep and pick up things. Well, the hand can't do that because it's not connected to the bicep, but the elbow is, right? And so as we take this analogy of the body of Christ and just look at your own body as you're listening to this, the various different things that each of the joints and ligaments and muscles and bones do are structured in a certain way because no other one does the same thing. Even your fingers, they look similar, but they each do different things. They're structured in different ways. Your toes look similar, but they each do different things. Try taking your pinky toe off or tying it to the toe next to it, and you'll see everything just feels super weird, right? So this is the adventure that Jesus is inviting you on, to actually sit and say to him, Lord, what is the gift in this person that I'm looking at? What is the gift that you gave them? And then secondly, how can I honor and validate that gift? And thirdly, how can that gift lend strength to me? And similarly, how can I value the gifts that you gave me, validate them, and how can I lend my gift to somebody else? This is the beauty of looking at the people around you in a whole new light, through the love of God, through this lens of gifting, and learn how to walk it out together. So good. Come across and visit us at thewaysofwisdom.com. Journey with us in our community, journey with us in life. Let's walk this out together. Let's take you from where you are to where God says that you can be, and build a bridge between the two so that we can walk across it together. So this is the adventure that Jesus is inviting you on today. Will you accept?